I recently read the book Learning Vocabulary in Another Language by Paul Nation. If you don't know him, Paul Nation is one of the most influential academics in the field of language learning. He focuses mostly on vocabulary acquisition, but he's done a lot of research and he offers a comprehensive framework for effective language learning in general. But again, emphasizing the importance of vocabulary acquisition, which I agree with. So let's talk about his key principles for language learning and how you can apply all of this to learn languages faster, to get fluent faster, right? So Nation has a concept called the 4 strands, a balanced approach for language learning. Unlike people like Russian who say that you only need input. So his 4 strands are meaning-focused input, which means to engage in activities like reading and listening, comprehensive input, basically. Understanding the message rather than focusing on language. You understand the language and context, and that's it. Exposure, input, all of that. Comprehensive input, basically. That's strand 1. Then there's meaning-focused output, which is the opposite. Speaking, writing, using the language in a meaningful way to communicate, to produce language, output, but focusing on meaning more than form, right? Then there's language-focused learning, which is vocabulary studying, grammar rules, learning pronunciation with exercises, things like that. Things that work specifically on studying the theory about the language, yeah? This focuses on learning specific skills. And finally, there's fluency development, working on how easily you can use the language you've already learned. So Paul Nation recommends allocating equal amounts of time to each strand, so 25% of your time for each one of them, so that you develop well-rounded skills. A significant portion of Nation's work centers on effective vocabulary learning and strategies for effective vocabulary learning, because vocabulary is extremely important. Nation says that 2 really important things in vocabulary acquisition are repetition and quality of processing. So repetition being how regularly you encounter the new words you're trying to learn, and quality of processing being how deeply you engage with the new vocabulary, what kind of activities you do with it, how actively you learn that vocabulary, and all of that. Also, Nation highlights the concept of word families, understanding root words and their derivatives, and expanding your vocabulary efficiently using groups of similar words. I'm a huge fan of this. So to implement Nation's principles in your learning, this is my take. This is what you should do, according to him. First of all, diversifying your learning activities. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. You balance your study among the 4 strands. So you do comprehensive input, but also you do meaning-focused output. You study grammar rules, which I'm not a fan of. You study vocabulary specifically, which I'm a big fan of. And you then practice your fluency. You practice using what you've already learned, but to practice using it more fluently. He's also a big fan of spaced repetition. So again, this is effective, it works really well. Tools like Anki, or simply using lists like I do to review vocabulary faster. He also recommends extensive reading, lots of reading with materials that are slightly below your current level. And this sounds counterintuitive, but it actually makes sense if the goal is to develop fluency. Doing lots of reading with easy materials and repetitive materials. And that's it, basically. So to integrate his strategies into your routine, you should have a balanced approach with input, output, vocabulary study, and fluency development. Overall, I think Paul Nation has the right ideas about language learning. I like his approach. It's a very balanced approach. without any gimmicks or one-size-fits-all solutions like the comprehensive input cult. I think his advice is very solid, and his book was really interesting to read, honestly. I was also pleasantly surprised by him recommending both mnemonics and speed reading. I normally don't see this from academics, but he recommends doing both for different purposes. So overall, a really good book. I didn't know Paul Nation until recently. People asked me to do a review of his book. Solid guy. Really good advice. I highly recommend this book. If you found this review helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and all of that. And if you want me to review other books, I'm definitely reviewing other books. I'm reading them right now. But if you want me to review a specific one, just let me know in the comments. And, well, I can read very fast. So I will review it quickly and I will make a video on demand. All right? Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.